Today's video is sponsored by Squarespace. It's been a while since I've sat down and done one of these Q&A videos, so last night I asked you guys to send in questions on Instagram. I picked some of my favorite ones, and let's just jump into it. These are two questions that kind of go together. We've got, how do you get over struggles with creative block, and do you ever have periods of creative dissatisfaction? Yes, I absolutely have plenty of periods of creative dissatisfaction. And how do I get over those things? I try to be as patient as possible. I used to try and do exercises that would kind of force myself to get out of the house and go shoot, but I've realized over time, maybe it's just that my, kind of workflow or approach to everything has changed, but more and more lately, anytime I kind of hit that creative rut, or I just don't really feel like getting out and shooting, or if I'm not just happy with, any of the work that I'm making, I kind of just try to be as patient as possible and just trust the process and just trust that that's a normal part of any kind of creative work, whether it be photography or, painting or whatever it may be. I've had a number of times where I've just thought, I cannot make another good photo for the rest of my life. There is no way, because I keep trying and I'm just not happy with anything. And I don't care about any of these photos, but all of those creative ruts, they have all come to an end, and I've just somehow gotten through it. So I kind of trust knowing that hopefully not in the distant future, I'll be able to kind of get over that and get back to what I'm doing. I wish I had some kind of hack or tip that I can give you, but there really isn't one for that. You've just kind of got to be patient. Ever wonder what life would be like without photography? Yeah, I have thought about this a bunch, and I honestly have no idea what my life would look like without photography, because it's not just a matter of it being my job. Most of the close friends that I have, I've met through photography. My wife, I met her through photography. If I never got into photography, I never would have crossed paths with her, and that means I wouldn't have my kids that I have today. Photography for me has been everything for 17 years now. Or wait, no, it was 17 years. 17 years now, my life has completely revolved around photography. So you look at over half of my lifetime, it has all revolved around just taking pictures. So without that, it is really hard to tell what my life would look like. What are some styles and or concepts you've always wanted to try? It's not that I've always wanted to try it necessarily, and I don't really follow many people that shoot it, but here lately I've really wanted to try astrophotography, and I'm not sure why, but I've never tried something like that. And for whatever reason, lately I've just thought I want to try that soon, just to see what it's like, working out all of the issues and kind of dialing in a good photo. So yeah, I want to try that soon. If I do, I will definitely make a video so you can see what it's like for a complete beginner when it comes to astrophotography. In your mind, what distinguishes photography from other visual art mediums? I think people love to try and come up with the, what's easier? Is it easier to sketch or paint or draw or photography? Or, there's so many different ways in terms of like visual arts to actually create something. And with photography, I think it's interesting that you have a camera and you have something that is going to give you whatever it is in front of the lens. Like, I don't have to draw buildings or people or anything like that. It's pretty easy. Once you learn exposure, and even if you don't learn exposure, you could shoot in all auto and make great work. You can have a great image of something, but it's up to you to choose what goes in front of the lens. And sometimes in certain, photography genres, I guess, if you're out on the street, it's all coming down to who else happens to be out on the street and what street you happen to be on at the right time to catch some random moment. So much of that is just left up to chance. Or if you're in the studio and you have all of these different variables that you have to try and control, it can be really tough to kind of bring all of these different elements in and put it together in front of the camera. And then you have to think, how is that work actually going to be seen? Are you going to be looking at it on a massive print up on the wall, or is it just, in a small little Instagram feed on someone's phone that they're swiping past? How much of that information are you going to lose when it's just on a screen versus up on the wall? There's so many different elements to that, but really whatever you can get in the real world in front of your lens, you can really kind of make whatever you want. On the same hand, if you look at something just like drawing, maybe you have complete freedom. You don't have to go out there and find specific moments or specific scenes. You can create everything right in front of you. You don't have to leave your house to make something like that. So you have that advantage, but then you also have to be able to draw or be able to paint, which takes way more time to be efficient at than just photography, at least from my personal perspective. I think it's way easier to get efficient at photography versus drawing or sketching or painting, anything like that. So I think it's just a trade-off. I don't really sit in either camp of this is the easier way to do it and everything about this medium makes it easier, because with photography, you can get really efficient at using a camera, but it's still up to you to find the things to put in front of the camera. Whereas if you were drawing or sketching, anything like that, you have complete freedom, make it however you want to make it, but it's going to take you a lot of time to be able to make anything you want to make. So it's just sort of a trade-off. Stainless steel or Paterson tank, currently using stainless steel. I learned on stainless steel tanks, and after trying Paterson tanks maybe probably 8, almost 9 years ago, I have never looked back. Paterson tanks for me are just so much easier. They're easy to load. I never have issues with my Paterson tanks. I know some people swear by stainless steel tanks, but Paterson tanks for me are the way to go. In your opinion, what's the best way to find interesting subjects to photograph? This is going to sound kind of easy and maybe a cop-out answer, but I just think you have to be curious. I think you have to naturally be interested in the things that are going on around you and be open to just new things and new ideas. Really being conscious of the work that you consume, so whether that be your Instagram feed, magazines you're subscribed to, work that you look at online, anything at all, the way that you consume work and the work that you're actually spending a lot of time looking and kind of finding inspiration from, that's going to dictate the kind of stuff that you're naturally going to be drawn to and what's going to stand out to you as you're just out in the world. But I think the more curious you are and just the more engaged you are with everything around you, it's going to be a lot easier for that kind of stuff to stand out. How do you stay humble and remember where you came from / how you started? This is incredibly easy for me to stay humble because I know what it looks like on social media with large numbers and things like that. I started my Instagram account with 0 followers, just like I started my YouTube channel with 0 subscribers. I used to see people with 10,000 followers and think, holy shit, that is unbelievable. I can't even wrap my head around having any kind of platform with 10,000 people who want to see more of it. And as my Instagram and my YouTube and all of that stuff has grown, I still am just in the mindset that I am just another person taking pictures and that's it. I have made a lot of great connections with people, and people have felt like they've connected with me just through these videos, and I've received messages from people telling me that they, are more interested in just everyday life and documenting their life, and that kind of thing has really resonated with them, which is amazing. That's the best part about doing what I do. But at the same time, I understand that if I weren't making the YouTube videos, if I weren't on Instagram or anything, the world would keep spinning just like it always has. So I try to just keep that in mind, that yes, I am very, very thankful and blessed to be able to do what I do and to have the platform that I have. But if I were to stop, the world would just keep going. It's not going to make any kind of significant difference if I wasn't doing what I'm doing. I hope that doesn't sound like pessimistic or negative, because I don't mean it to sound that way at all. It's just we're just people, and we just happen to have audiences now and followers and that kind of stuff. And I am thankful for what that's given me. But at the same time, I understand that I'm just in a really lucky position to be able to do what I'm doing. And when I'm gone one day, that's all that there will be. It's just what I've done in this lifetime. That's it. What's the best way to market videos? It's hard to stay positive when people aren't watching. I am probably not the best person to ask that question, because I have just sort of changed my YouTube channel a lot over the years, and I've tried to not look at it from what's the best way to grow my subscribers or to get more views or anything like that. It's been a very slow and steady growth, and there have been plenty of times where in 1 month my views are way up and more subscribers are coming in, and then other months it looks like I'm barely breaking even with the amount of new subscribers versus people who are unsubscribing or just not watching anymore. And I try not to stress or think about that kind of stuff too much, because I don't want this to be just a regular kind of job that I just don't feel like doing, and I only do it to pay the bills. I mean, there have been times, plenty of times, where I've had to make videos where I just didn't really feel like sitting down in front of the camera, but because of sponsorship agreements, because I have bills to pay, I have to do it anyway. So it's always going to be a real job in that aspect. But I try to keep some sort of balance there, where as long as I'm, moving forward, I don't have to be growing by an insane amount. As long as I'm just keeping steady, I'm going to trust that, it will all work out in the end. I love doing videos on photo books and different photographers. To me, that is so much more insightful than a video about a particular camera or a roll of film or something like that. But I understand not many people care about, photo books and care about learning about photographers and certain projects. A lot of people just want to see pretty pictures and cool cameras that they can go out and shoot with, which is totally fine. But I have to keep some sort of balance there, because I need to be able to make stuff that people enjoy watching and consuming. But at the same time, I want to make something that I can actually feel proud about putting out there. Probably not great advice, but that's just how it is for me. So yeah, man, just stick with it. Do you have a P.O. box? I was hoping to send you my book as a thank you for all you do. I really appreciate that. Yes, I do have a P.O. box for anyone who's interested. I've posted it a bunch before. It's P.O. Box 2006, Chillicothe, Ohio 45601. If you ever have zines or prints or books or even just a letter, anything at all, you can send it to my P.O. box. I'm regularly checking it every week, and I have tons and tons of books and zines that you guys have sent in. It's always appreciated, so thank you. If in 100 years someone is talking about your art, how would you like it to be remembered? I very highly doubt that anyone will even know who I am in 100 years, but I think if anything, I would just want people to see that anybody can do what I'm doing. I'm just taking pictures of just everyday life and what's around me, and to me, that has always been enough. The whole idea behind document your life and why I encourage that so much is because I've been able to do that and have found a lot of just personal value, not just in terms of career or, anything like that, just personal value for me to be able to, really pay attention to the life that I have and the people that are in my life. And I think it's easy for people, especially who might live in an area like me, Southern Ohio, small town. A lot of people feel like they need to be in some amazing location or a big city or something, or have, all kinds of these really cool opportunities and people to actually see their work and brands to work for and stuff like that. And for me, it was never really about that. It's always just been about making photos of life for me, for my own sake. It's never been about having a following or an audience or anything like that. I just want to be able to make photos of my life and the people in my life and actually have something that we can remember it for. Have you ever thought about leaving Chillicothe to go elsewhere? That kind of ties in with the last question. I have, growing up, I thought about it, and I have a lot of friends who were just dying to move away the second they graduated high school, but for whatever reason, I've just always felt like Chillicothe was enough, and I've wanted to really try and make the life that I want to live. I've really tried to make that work here in Chillicothe, and so far it's worked out great. I mean, if I didn't have social media or anything to work with, I probably would have to work somewhere else, or I would at least have to change the kind of photos that I was making. I would probably have to do a lot more weddings, a lot more family portraits, that kind of stuff. And I think this is probably going to be my last year shooting weddings, because I've really just been able to, focus on personal work, on personal projects, making these YouTube videos. There have just been more and more opportunities popping up, and that's really been the goal this whole time. I've wanted to be able to just make the pictures that I really want to make and somehow create a life and a career out of that. And to be able to do it in my hometown, a town that I love, I'm very, very thankful for that. And one more thing I'm thankful for is today's sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace is the best all-in-one platform to build an amazing looking website. No matter what your skill level is, everything is extremely easy to use with their custom templates. So no matter what kind of template you choose, you can still fine-tune things and make it your own. With everything built right into Squarespace, whether you need to have a portfolio, an online store, an email newsletter, really anything you would need on your website, it's all built into Squarespace, and it's super easy to use. But if you ever have issues with anything, you can use their award-winning 24/7 customer service. I think I've personally been using Squarespace for almost 7 years now, so if you want to try it out for yourself, you can do so entirely free at squarespace.com. But when you're ready to get signed up, go to squarespace.com/mattday, and that'll get you 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you guys so much for sending in the questions. I hope you enjoyed the answers. Be sure to let me know if you have any other questions in the comments down below. More videos coming this week. I love you guys very much. I'll see you next time.